Sheena Shay has just broken her silence on James Kennedy's arrest for DV. PK is saying that his wife, Dorit Kemsley, has become a completely different person since joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And Dolores Catania is not happy with her co-stars or her former co-stars of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I hope you're ready to dive on in. Let's get it. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, everybody. Happy Friday. I can't believe it's already Friday. Where did the week go? I feel like we just started the week, but we also had Christmas. Merry Chrysler. So, excuse me. Yeah, what a weekend. What a week. Now we're at the week or the weekend, and we're approaching the new year. Curious what you guys are doing for the new year. We're just literally less than a week away from 2025. This year went by so fast. Crazy town. I mean, I guess I'll talk to you guys on Monday, so I shouldn't do like a New Year's message just yet. New year, new me. I did hit a new PR at the gym today. We have the Orange Theory Catch Me If You Can, which is 22 minutes to see how much distance you can rack up. And I did 3.54. So 3.3.5 miles. We getting it. We doing it. We're doing the damn things. Got my new Hokas because I needed some new shoes. Like I ditched the On Clouds, which I've had since April, and I've run them down. So glad and grateful that I got some new shoes to break in and excited to break them in for the new year. I'm always like one of those people that waits until the very last minute to get something new for myself. I don't know about you. Like ever since I got, ever since I got the dogs, I just feel like my priorities are so much more different. And like, I don't buy things for like even my headphones. Remember? I mean, I'm sure you guys learned on Disaster Daters, the 4th of July disaster with that guy that I was seeing. Remember then me and Jacques ended up like talking to the same guy. Good times. Disaster Daters, season 3. Stay tuned. But that the 4th of July disaster where I ended up like ditching that and leaving that guy. And then I left my AirPods at his apartment. And then I, have literally not gotten new AirPods or headphones since July. I've just been procrastinating and delaying. Even today, I was like, yesterday, I was like, I need to get some new workout clothes. And so I was like, I need new workout clothes. And so I went on Fabletics because I have a whole bunch of credits building on Fabletics. And then I like put a bunch of stuff in my cart, and then I just left my cart, and then I never went back I never finished the purchase, and I just got an email from them. So I don't know, when it comes to like getting new things for myself now, I'm not, I don't know. I haven't even bought like a nice new pair of like designer shoes in a couple years. Oh, well, no, I bought some last summer for my 30th birthday. I got some nice Louboutin boots, but yeah, listen. Well, Janelle, Ren, in this economy, you want me to treat myself in this economy? Thank you. Next. Lori says, oh my gosh, my poor pup is taking all my money. Thank God for pet insurance. I know. I have pet insurance for one of the dogs. It's under Sky because I got the pet insurance when I first got Sky before we brought Sully home. So whichever one needs the pet insurance first, they're going to be Sky. That's just, it is what, I'm glad they're from the same litter, same age. They look similar. Yeah, they're both blonde golden labradoodles. So we're just going to interchange them, right? Nobody needs to know I have 2 dogs. Whenever we need to clock in the insurance, they're both going to be Skywalker. So, Sully is red and dirty. Yeah, I'm red and dirty. Okay, so I have not yet read Sheena's statement, which I will get into in just a sec, because I saw that she finally has broken her silence after the James Kennedy arrest. We saw that Lala spoke out, and Lala's like, I don't really want to say anything because like it's not my business. And we're like, okay, Lala, suddenly you don't have an opinion. And Sheena has just broken her silence on the Shenanigans podcast. So we will get into Sheena. We'll get into Dorit and PK. We'll get into we have a Karen Huger update. We have Kim and Croy. We have a Jersey update and an update from the Valley. But I'm not doing today's episode solo. special Friday episode, and I think Fridays will have more special guests on Wednesdays and Fridays. But for now, he is very good at stirring up a little controversy on the internet. I'm pretty good at doing that myself, so I figured why not make this Friday extra spicy. You know him as from Ty's Tough Talks. Hey Ty,
Hello, how are you guys doing?
how are you?
I'm good.
How's your Friday going? How was your Christmas?
Decent. I'm still waiting to get my car. My
Well,
dog.
I'm
Sorry about
excited
that.
to have you join us.
No puedes
You're
ladrar.
a big
Stop.
Bravo fan too. We got a lot of
Yes.
Bravo to talk, lots of Housewives to talk. Everyone's excited for
Yeah.
that.
I'm
Laura,
excited to talk about it too. Yeah, sorry about I was a little late. I'm still trying to coordinate my card getting delivered from where I just moved. So that's just been a mess. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about this. I'm also mad. Like didn't give us any content really this week. They took away all our Housewives episodes, so I've been kind of lacking on
I know
that.
we had no
But
content. So, well, I mean, luckily we got some. Well, I was talking a lot about like the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni stuff.
ugh.
Um, I just feel like people are kind of and Kim Kardashian and her weird Christmas video, her weird Santa baby video. I feel like at this
Oh
point,
God, yeah, that was. I don't know what the hell she was thinking with that. That was bizarre.
it really was. I was just like, I think
It's
she
like,
like they're just clinging on anything to like try to stay relevant at this point.
yeah, I don't even know if it's even relevant. It's more just she wants to be talked about, I think, and that's all it really is. It's almost one of those things where it's like she just almost is just feeding a controversy. She has to know what she's doing. Like she claims
You
to
know,
be Christian. She does it on the show all the time where she talks about God and stuff like that. Or like it's just kind of hilarious, specifically about that. I was like, wow, okay, way to be super sacrilegious.
it's at this point, I think she realizes that. I mean, this I said this on the show yesterday that like we're reaching that point where the Kardashians are becoming so irrelevant and almost extinct that like they're getting more and more desperate. Like this was, I think
Yeah,
she was hoping that people would read this as something that's like avant-garde and like,
yeah.
something
It didn't
super
land.
artsy that like had a hidden message and people were digging into like what undertones or what message she was trying to get across with it. But I just think it's showing how desperate they're becoming to stay relevant. Even
Yeah, I
Beyonce,
agree with
I
you.
saw she just did the halftime show, and they were showing that even despite doing that halftime show, she's falling off the Spotify charts, which shows that like people are just becoming less and less interested in celebrity
She's
culture.
even like trying to sexualize her daughter in weird ways where it's kind of like a thing where she's putting her on red carpets and she's putting her in the video and she's putting her in like the halftime show and all these different things. And I'm like, your daughter's like, isn't she like 12? I mean, Kim was doing the same thing. She has
She's
North in a
so
mini skirt sitting there on the mantle and it's kind of weird. Did you see that weird little story she put out or something like that where
I
North was doing some dance video and she's literally in like not that I'm like against kids getting to wear things that they want, but it's like for the world to see, you're gonna put her in this like super short skirt and she's like 11. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was even surprised that Blue Ivy was so young. I mean, she looks so mature, and
Oh
then the
yeah.
outfits that they had her in at like the Mufasa premiere, which was just, I mean, listen, I don't have kids. I feel like I wouldn't want to dress my daughters
Yeah, me neither. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, if slash when I ever have a daughter, she's not wearing that. That's like it's one of
at
the
that age. Um, okay, so let's get into. I don't know if you've caught up with all the latest on James Kennedy since he was arrested for domestic violence. What was it, the week before last week or the weekend before last weekend?
I think I remember
So
the last thing I
Sheena has
saw was
finally
that his
spoken out. She
attorney
came
was
out on the
like trying to
Shenanigans
dispute
podcast.
stuff. Last
Yeah,
I
so
remember, I thought it
she's
was
come
because
out.
just yeah.
She is the first one. So we had Lala, who was the first one to speak out, and she did an Amazon Live, and all Lala really said was like, listen, I want to, their business is their business, and I'm paying attention to what's going on in my family, which was very,
That's off
uh,
brand.
yeah, not,
Usually she's got all these opinions
very,
about
like
everybody and wants to
Lala's
talk shit.
always in
So
everybody's business, and she always has opinions about
yeah.
everybody. That now it's like,
Kind of makes me think that she might have known something and people kind of know that some people might know that she knew something and she's just trying to not look bad because that's one of those things that she just kind of can't say anything now because she might have been permissive to it and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff where
no,
she
I
like
think so. I mean,
let it perpetuate.
there's no way none of them knew anything. Like they had to have known something. I mean, we've seen stuff and heard stuff about James for years.
Well, didn't Kristen Dute also come out and saying like, "Thank God this is finally happening" and stuff like that? Like she was
Yeah.
all about it. She said something a couple weeks ago. I think I remember seeing that.
Kristen came out, Rachel Leviss came out. I mean, they've kind of hinted at things over the past 2 years. I mean, every time I hear Rachel's name, I kind of have an eye roll, but I'm like, okay, well, she's at least been trying to, expose James for some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's also, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked. We've seen him on the show. He doesn't necessarily give off the most stable persona, even when he was doing his whole reform situation. Um, yeah, it's always just been kind of a mess. And also Lisa Vanderpump always giving him some kind of an out always is kind of also condemnable a little bit. I'm not her fan, so that's one of those
And
things.
she's
That's a
been
controversial statement, I know.
She's had nothing to say about it. But here's what Sheena said on Shenanigans. She said, I did not write out what I wanted to say because I wanted to try and just be as eloquent as possible. I want to get out what I want to say without stumbling on my words. I was respecting Ellie's privacy as she requested, so I wasn't going to say anything on the podcast. But now I see how that's coming across by staying silent. Well, obviously, when you don't say anything, that's called being silent, Sheena.
Kind
So
of
I have
tacit
spoken to
endorsement.
Allie. I check in with her often. I always have, but I know it seems like if I stay silent, you all somehow think I support his behavior, which I absolutely do not. And that's it.
It's a lot of word salad for just saying she doesn't support a domestic abuser. That's interesting.
Like,
Or an accused
Sheena,
domestic abuser, I should say.
I've said this from the beginning that like all they've needed to say is, hey, I don't condone any violence towards women. I support Allie. I hope she's doing well. I'm checking in on her. Like, whatever. All they have to do is denounce the behavior. If they don't want
Yeah,
to mention his name or anything, fine, but just denounce that behavior and show your
exactly.
support for Allie. And it's really that simple. Like, I don't get why it's so hard for any of them to say anything without either there's guilt because they were complicit in some way because they knew something or they didn't act sooner, or they don't want to upset James, when in this case I don't understand how
Well, James
he
knows things about all of them, I'm sure, where like if they come after him in a real public way, I'm sure he'll go crazy and do some this stuff like that. That's something I personally believe because it's like it's not necessarily going to be like a whole blackmail situation, but it's like they also have their own reputations that they also have cultivated and tried that I think they're also being protective over in a weird way, but it also doesn't really it's not a good look either way you slice it. It doesn't make them look good.
I also think it's strange that they're like leaning into this whole we want to respect Allie's privacy and that's why we haven't said anything. And it's like, well, it's already public.
It's
It's
public.
public record. The arrest has been made public. We're seeing paparazzi photos that I mean, I'm not saying that they are staged, but I do know people that are in the industry that are in or that are reporters that have all claimed that they believe that the photos of Allie and James moving out of the house were staged paparazzi photos. But like, regardless, everybody's talking about it. So
Yeah.
whether you want to respect their privacy or not, they don't have privacy right now
No.
because you guys have made the choice to live your lives publicly.
And it's also a public situation where, like you said, it's public record now because it's in the court system now. This is all up to like the legal process now in reality. So it's going to be something people talk about regardless because the information is public record.
Yeah, and it's something that like it's become a big part of the conversation. The fact that like they're begrudgingly having to say that they don't support his behavior to me is wild. Like, why is that so hard for you to say? Because
Yeah.
like I know he's proclaiming that his legal team wants to investigate the arrest because they do feel that he may still be innocent in some way. And from what we've heard, Allie doesn't have any plans to press charges against him. But I mean, come on, we've seen this behavior and this pattern for too many years for it
I
to
agree.
believe that, for us to
Yeah,
believe.
I don't believe the innocence argument. I mean, it is up to Ali when it comes to pressing charges because unless there's concrete evidence, there's not going to be any. I don't
Yeah.
think that there's going to be like a DA situation or situation where they're going to press charges on the state's behalf on these kind of things because it's just going to turn into something like where she's going to either have to do it or not because the concrete evidence isn't there to actually like go after him in that regard.
My prediction for 2025 with his court case, I don't think any charges will be filed against him. I think the case will be dropped, and then he'll be able to say, "Look, I was
I'm
exonerated." Like,
innocent.
clip this
Yeah.
out. Yeah, bravo, babe. I know you're watching. Clip this out right now so that we can timestamp it. And when this prediction comes true, we can
Bookmark.
reference this.
Bookmark.
I'm calling it now. No charges are going to be filed against him. The case will be dropped. He'll come out and say, see, I was innocent. I didn't do anything. That's why they had no charges that they could file against me, because most people don't realize, as you just said, Ty, like, unless Allie agrees to press charges against him, which it doesn't appear that she's going to be doing, nothing, they don't have any there were no visible markings
Yeah,
on
they
her.
would have to have him doing it in public and have to have it be something like that, where then it's up to then the state to end up going after it and not her pressing charges, which I don't think that that's going to happen because, like you said, it's all been behind closed doors, so it's all allegations and stuff like that. Granted, plausible allegations that we've been watching for a long time, so it's not necessarily to any of us watching like. That's how I feel about that. It's like we've watched this. We know what the pattern is.
Will release a statement and be like, we're glad that the judicial system did its process and chose not to press charges against this. My client wants his privacy respected at this time. We'll probably get a statement from Allie thanking the police department for doing their jobs. They'll announce that they're getting back together, and then it'll be, and they're gonna be back together before we know it next year.
The pattern will continue. So
And the pattern
that's just
continue,
the way it goes. Yeah.
I'm sure he had no idea that she even told the cops that he had picked her up and threw her to the ground. Because when the cops come in, they separate you. And so, they're talking to, what the not spouse, because they're not married, but they're talking to one person over here and the other person.
One party
there,
and the other party. Exactly.
Story. And, they're, whatever she says, James wasn't privy to that, which is why I'm sure his attorneys were like, oh, there was no evidence. We're going to investigate this. And then it comes out, oh, well, Bravo Babe says, do you think
also on the back end of that, they have their own little conversation. What were you going to
say? Bravo Babe says, do you think he'll lean into his sobriety to gain sympathy?
Well, hasn't he done that already before where he's pretended to go sober and then he's like, he's done this before. So I think that he might rehash the same kind of playbook because it did sort of work for him last time when it came to rehabbing his image a little bit. Do I think it'll work this time? I mean, I don't know, because I personally just think he's like a little bit of gutter trash the whole time, and I don't think he ever took any of it seriously. But that's up for the rest of the people to decide too. I'm just a single person, so.
No, because I don't think there were ever any real consequences for him.
No.
Like there was like, oh, you don't get to DJ at See You Next Tuesday, but then it's like, but he was still able to stay on the show. He was still able to, get praise when there was an investigation. He was still allowed to attend BravoCon, and so
at least the Vanderpump, I know she's helped him do that. That's all these different things. Like I'm gonna be honest, like she's so she's so complicit in enabling this clown. I'm gonna be honest, like, and that's one of the things. Another reason why I have very little respect for that woman, but that's just an unpopular opinion.
No, I agree. She's completely enabled him. Like it's the thing is because people want to be like, oh, well, look at Sandoval or look at Jax. I'm like, yeah, they're not great people and they cheated on their girlfriends and whatever. But like, there's no like this is a different level, like he was arrested for,
publicly,
like it's just to me
it wasn't just like on the show drama. This is like real situation. It's like that's the problem, I think.
Yeah, that like I get LVP giving a pass to Jax or Sandoval because they cheated on their girlfriend, but like that was the premise of the show is they were bad kids behaving badly, right? And this is like a different level. It's not Jax stealing sunglasses and getting arrested for that. It's literally
or them getting in a drunken brawl at a restaurant and all these different things. It's like it's not the same thing at all. I agree.
Okay, well that's Vanderpump. Let's see what else do we have on deck. Kim and Croy from Atlanta.
These poor guys. This is hilarious. This drama just keeps going and going and going and going.
They finally moved out of their home because they were forced to, and their house was forced into an auction. And Ariana, Kim's daughter, her second oldest daughter, posted a video of them in the house. The house is now empty. They've had to move out. I wonder what the kids think of all of this, considering they moved out because they couldn't pay their bills and they're being sued for their past debt.
I was reading something about this actually yesterday, which I thought was, well, someone was posting this and I completely agree with what this person said. I wish I had the post bookmarked. I would have sent it to you. Apparently, they bought their house for like less than $1 million back in the day. Like, I think like 10 years ago or whatever, 12 years ago or something like that. I can't remember what the date was. But, and now then they originally tried to sell it for like $6 million. And now it's being forced into sale by the banks for four something. I just think when what they were talking about is what really is the tragedy here personally is for the children specifically is that those two could have set their kids up for life with that being a nest egg for their family. And they turned this into some crazy situation. They fought over their bills to the point that now it's fully foreclosed on. It's getting foreclosed, and they are going to not see any of that money. The kids aren't going to be set up for anything. All of that, like, potential wealth that they just had is down the drain. And if I was their kid, especially as I would become an adult and you become more aware of these things, oh, I would be very, very angry with my parents because it's like, you know what? Like, that's so irresponsible because also they've had so many other ways to deal with this. And I think half of it has been them both feeding the cycle for attention and fame. And it's this weird thing. So you've basically squandered the future of your family and the financial security you could have given your family for like these clicks, and now your guys are not even famous, you're infamous. It's not even a good situation. Like, you guys are just a joke now. It's like, well, they've been a joke for a long time, but it's just like this is now the culmination. And yeah, that's sad. It's bleak.
I mean, it's not even just infamous because I feel like you can be infamous in a way that people still like Tiffany Pollard, New York. She's infamous,
Hmm.
because she's a reality TV villain, or even like an Omarosa,
Yeah.
who are still going to be able to have
Yeah,
a
they can have a brand,
career.
they can continue. Yes. No one
These,
takes them
I feel
seriously
like
anymore. That's the thing. These people, no one's going to take them seriously at all. It's like a, ugh, get it away from me
they've tanked
kind of
their
situation.
image. I mean, the
Yeah.
number of 911 calls that she makes, and
And
every
the
time she calls,
videos. Oh my God. And all those camera videos from the police where they would release those things. And then she would be filming her own videos. He would doing that. And like, it's over like laptops and iPads. And they're having these broke down fights in the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my goodness, guys, this is what you're going to be remembered for.
well, they're moving on. They're gonna move into their studio apartment now. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that
I
house was gorgeous. I'll always say that was one of my very favorite Housewives houses or whatever, but it was beautiful. I loved that house. It was gorgeous. I personally, very my style. Love.
we have Dolores Catania who's talking to People Magazine, and she was asked about Jersey because now we know they're rebooting the cast in some way. We likely won't see a new iteration of Jersey for quite
They
some
said
time. She's
2026,
saying,
right?
what?
Didn't someone say that it was gonna come out in 2026 now? Like, we're gonna have to wait until at least
Yeah,
2026 for
they're
the New Jersey to come
as of
out?
right now. Andy Cohen said that there's no plans to release a new season for at least another year.
Insane.
Yeah, which I mean they did with Vanderpump after like Stassi, Kristen, and Jax all got fired. They like went cameras down for a whole year before they went into the next season,
Yeah.
which I think was helpful because it let the audience kind of take a breather. Um, but so
So what
she's
did Dolores say again? What were you about to say about Dolores's quote from the People
Oh,
magazine or something like that?
she said that she's mad at the cast because she's upset that they couldn't put their egos aside to move on for another season. She said you have to move on. You have to move on, otherwise you'll have no one left in your life. And now we have no one because at this point the show is essentially done.
Well, I mean, I'm a little disappointed in Dolores personally because she played the fence way too much in that situation. So I don't think she really deserves an opinion because I think all she was doing is trying to perpetuate everything and keep it all cute for a check because now she's mad that she doesn't actually have an income anymore because she's not going to be on the show. And I'll just speak on that because I actually just think she's a little bit of a clown. I've had a little bit of an issue with Dolores for like the last two seasons, like playing both sides. I
Yeah,
like think it's a
I
mess.
I saw her at Teddy and Tamara did a live show that they invited me to at iHeart
Mm.
a few weeks ago, and Dolores was there, and she was asked about it, and she still again kind of like didn't want to pick a side, and didn't she kind of the only reason I'll defend her this last season is because the cast was so divided that she was the only person that was in the middle that could kind of work to bring people back, and that's why she hosted that final dinner that ended up being a disaster. But I
The
think you're
infamous
right.
dinner.
There was no like I get it, she wants to be friends with everybody, but like it just,
That
I don't know.
doesn't play. I'm gonna be honest. You're on Housewives. It's gonna be a situation. Being friends with every single person. That's also boring, sweetie.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be honest. That's very boring. Like have an opinion. Stop just like sitting around and hiding your opinion all the time. Also, speaking of Dolores, I actually like the reason I lost respect for her was because of what happened with what was her name? The old housewife. I can't remember. I can't believe her. I can't remember her name now. The blonde. She was gorgeous. Love her so much. And she went through the whole court case with her ex.
Dina.
Dina, yes, her, love her, and I'm so mad when it comes to like how like Dolores is not a good person. I'm gonna be really honest with you guys when it comes to like she gave a character witness and tried to like make it okay for like the abusive ex-husband. Oh my God, dude, constantly on the wrong side. I'm just like tired of it. Like, please,
That's
ugh,
that's the
Dolores.
issue with
That made
Dolores.
me
She
so
leans into
disappointed.
this like it's about loyalty, and I'm all about being loyal to the end. So, but it's like, but at some point you need to know when to distance yourself from
He
the
was
James
an
Franco, right?
extortionist,
In this case, she wanted
disgusting man.
Tony Manzo, as did Caroline, and so they,
Mhm.
and she still stands by that. And
Of
it seems
course she does, and I think
feels
that's something that she's going to have to live with because public opinion's not going to be happy with her in general. In my opinion, when the details are out, it's a super bad look. Like, because she could easily have cleaned that up and been like, you know what, knowing all the details now, like, she could have some contrition and remorse and say sorry to Dina and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it would make it a lot better, in my opinion. First of all, like, because you can fully take some of that stuff back. Not that you can actually take back the legal stuff that she did publicly and stuff like that, but doubling down is not it. And that's very disappointing, especially with all the details we learned about how abusive and insane that situation really actually was and how she was like, oh,
yeah,
oh.
now he's going to prison. Like at this, like it's at some point, when do you like officially cut ties or like get out of the bubble of delusion and be like, okay, the court system played itself out. He's now going to
Hmm.
prison. He's been found guilty.
Yeah. For
I
like not even just like little like civil situation. Like this is like very insane stuff that he was doing. And that's the part that's actually what really made me stop respecting her a lot was when all that came out. I think it was like a couple years ago or a year and a half ago or a year ago. I don't remember exactly, but it's been a while. But when that came out, I was like, "Oh, Dolores, I wanted to like you so much, and this is just not it." Mm-mm. She's pretty though. Good work. So she's got
I
good
was just
work.
about to say that
I'll
she
give her
looks
that.
gorgeous
I'll
though.
always try to leave it with one compliment. She got good work. Good for her. Like,
I was looking at photos of her from when she first joined Housewives till now, and I was like, wow, she's really like
she
changed
looks
her.
better now than she did then, and that's saying something because she's been on like even cameos, even the beginning before she was actually a full time. She was making little appearances. Because I've rewatched it like multiple times. I'm like, oh damn, Dolores was actually on there way before I thought. I keep forgetting that she would just randomly show up sometimes.
I know. Well, speaking of people that are guilty and delusional, we have Karen Huger that's facing her upcoming.
Oh, I've been wanting to talk about this.
I mean,
Oh, Kern, what did you do?
I was I came across this article this morning um that basically I believe the title was Karen Huger deserves our sympathy. And it was this
No,
whole like essay about how we need to
no.
cut Karen some slack because the rest of her cast members have always she's always cut them slack and she's always been there by their sides. And I'm like, this is a little different. Like this is
And that's a
for
reach too, saying
you
she's always been by everybody's side with everything. I'm like, that girl's got some shade for everybody all the time and an opinion about everybody's bullshit. So
yeah,
let's be clear. So that whoever did Karen write that article? I was to be honest, like, did Karen write that article? Anyway, but that's yeah, my whole thing with Karen, and I think this also ties into a really good way of showing this example, and other people have talked about this too, is the whole Shannon Bedore situation.
yeah.
Because they mirror each other very well. Like the scenario and what actually is going on, and like the situation at hand where they both were pretty much belligerently drunk and they like destroyed property. Well, not I don't know if Karen actually fully destroyed property. She
Yeah,
might have. I can't remember
she
which
ran into
charges.
the side railing and then she
Yes,
crashed.
yes, she did destroy property too. And then, but the thing is, she has zero remorse.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
zero accountability on her part. And there's zero attempt, in my opinion, to like, and I know not just my opinion, this is pretty obvious that like she's not taking any accountability for it. And when you see what Shannon did, she did the exact opposite. where she was fully contrite. She's like, I cannot believe that this is where I'm at in my life, and I need to clean myself up, and I cannot believe that I've let this go on for so long, and it's on me, that kind of situation. She didn't blame other people. She was like, this is fully my issue that I need to overcome and I need to take control of. And Karen is sitting there like the whole season. She's sitting there like, the truth will come out. The truth will be like set free. I whatever. Like she's like some persecuted creature. And then you see all these videos. I've also, first of all, never in my life did I think that there was gonna be like what, like 8 videos about her, or 6. I can't remember how many police videos that came out. And how out of pocket she was with the things she was saying. I'm like, that girl was on something. I can't even believe what she
It
was
was so
saying.
bad. And then
Like,
her
she was like
excuse,
Thomas Jefferson's concubine. I can never forget that
yeah,
she
she's
said that. I was like, girl, please.
but it's why, because like the article also was talking about like, oh well, she was grieving the death of her mother, and she lost her parents back to back, and because Karen's excuse was, I was thinking of my mom, and so because Mother's Day was coming up, and I was like, wait a minute, like let's
Pull
put the
over.
together. First of all, her parents passed away in 2017. We're now in
Oh, honey.
2024.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about this. This was like, I was like, you're right. That's actually been like multiple seasons. You're right that this has been like a theme.
Yeah, and then she said Mother's Day was coming up. This happened in March. Mother's Day is in
This
May.
is
Like
in May.
literally like a 6 to 8 week time difference of Mother's Day coming up. Like, and that's not to negate the loss of a parent,
Of
right?
course
But
not. Of course
same
not.
time, just like the timeline doesn't make sense. She was lit beyond belief. She denied it. And you even see her, she's showing up at the jail and they're letting her out of the car and she almost falls out and she's like, oh my God, I'm lit. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah, she
girl,
even said it, and she's even saying stuff when she was getting interviewed at the jail. Like, I was like, oh my God. And as I've been to law school and all that kind of stuff, like, I cannot imagine being her attorney. And then I can't believe they let her go to trial. Like, I cannot believe they let that happen. No, because they knew the evidence. It's not like they didn't have the knowledge of the evidence of what they had. That was something they knew. And I cannot believe that her attorney let that happen, where they was like, oh, we're just gonna go to trial, and they were gonna bank on her being a celebrity, that the local people would be like sympathetic to her or something. Because that's the only thing I can think of, is
yeah.
that they were betting on the jury from the local area, because that's how it happens, that they were gonna be sympathetic to her because they know who she is. And I'm just like, oh my God, oh my, like, oh.
Well,
I could not believe that that's what they chose to do. And it's her second offense. Because I'm sitting here like, I'm gonna be insanely shocked if she doesn't go to jail. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I'm gonna be extremely shocked if she avoids jail time. I will be so shocked.
yeah, there's no way she's gonna avoid jail time. It's
Well,
her
because the
second.
minimum sentencing and all these different things, like it's like, ooh, she's gonna, and also she's gonna have to pay a crap ton of money, and because I also just think she's like kind of danger to society a little bit. That's one of those things, like it's a habitual pattern and all these things where like that turns into like you're a danger to society at large situation where like you just have no remorse and you should know better because you've had this happen to you before. Like this has not your first DUI. It's
She's
like
she's appealing the decision now, hoping that she's going to win in the end. I don't know what
she won't
ground
win.
she really thinks that she could get away with this on.
I think she has a god complex, or not a god complex, like maybe like a Jesus complex, where she thinks she's like the persecuted little like messiah in her brain, where she like thinks that she is the one. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like tied in with the grief, where she now has this weird little mental delusion about herself, or the whole grand dame thing, where it's all fully gone to her head. Like, because that was also part of the videos where she was like, Andy Cohen named me the grand dame. Haven't you heard? And then the officer's just like, what? Like it's just like it was just so I was like so much secondhand embarrassment. I was like, Karen, just shut up, like please stop talking.
The
Like,
officer
oh
had
my
no
God.
clue. He was a total straight man. He had no clue who Andy Cohen was, nor did he care.
Mm-mm. Nor did he care at all. They're like Grand Dom, whatever, and he thought she said Grand Dawn, like because she didn't even say it correctly. And I was like, oh no, God, girl, like please just be quiet. Like if I could just beam myself in there and be like, please, I wish you would have just shut up, because I want to like her. She was one of my favorites. She's hilarious, and like it's just oh my God, like ugh. She should have done what Shannon did and take full responsibility, move forward. Da 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 da. Like I just. Because she's gonna cost herself so much money. She's already costing herself so much money with like the appeals process, and her attorney's making bank off this, I'm sure. Ugh,
And the
this is
thing too
just
is
a mess.
audience likes when you can take like that's why Shannon, I mean, I think Shannon would have had a rougher season had Alexis not been on this year. But I think Shannon at least took accountability and wanted to kind of, make better choices.
Yeah,
She did the bare minimum to do that, but the sentiment was still there. Whereas at
fully
least
every episode. Yeah.
yeah, with Karen, even though it's her second offense, she's still fighting all the way to not have to do jail time, I
It's
think is what
such a
it is.
mess. Yeah. And it's going to end up backfiring on her so bad, and she's going to waste more money. And like the same with the Shannon thing, like you're right, because the way Shannon handled it, it ended up deflecting, especially because Tamara came on really strong the whole time. And everything Tamara did, because Shannon was contrite in every episode, it deflected everything that Tamara threw at her and made Tamara look really bad. And because it's also like, you know what, like she is taking responsibility, and then all the things Tamara was saying about her, I'm like, yeah, girl, like you can't really say that when she's fully contrite and she's trying to fix herself and all these different things. Like you look like a bully, which she is, but like I mean, it was very glaring. And I think that Tamara does realize that she messed up very seriously. Not that she'll fully ever admit it because she's prideful, but like I do believe that like that was a full miscalculation on her part. Not that she's not redeemable in that sense, because I think she can fix the situation. It's not like it's not a catastrophic, fatal thing to her brand or her existence, how she treated Shannon, and she can move past it. And they did at the reunion. I did appreciate that, where they kind of had their moment to kind of move past it a little bit and say sorry and all that kind of stuff, which was important. But I think that underscores how Shannon's strategy about, even if it really was a strategy, I don't even know, but how she handled it is how Karen should have handled it, because she's also getting beaten up by her castmates about, girl, we know this is the bullshit. Like, if she had been contrite trying to fix herself, a lot of that energy, a lot of that steam would have been taken out of the equation, and she would look better, and they would look like sour bullies, the way it happened with Tamara. And that is a huge miscalculation on Karen's part. Like, and I feel really sad actually, because I really liked Karen a lot. And this is one of those things that I was hoping, especially when I saw that she had her DUI, I was hoping that it would end up being just like how Shannon did it, where she comes correct and does this whole like apology contrition tour, tries to better herself, goes to rehab, does all these different things, and it's not happened. And that is going to be, I don't even know if she's actually going to have enough avenue to really be on the show anymore, because it's one of those things that's also possibly an issue where it's going to be really hard. Like that's, the producers have to figure something out.
Well, that's why they ultimately ended up firing Kim Richards back in season
Yeah.
5 is because she
Hmm.
became too much of a liability for them.
And she wasn't taking accountability for it, and she was just like completely just falling off, falling off, falling off, and it was just like, ugh. And I love Kim. We always root for Kim, but like to this day, I'm rooting for Kim. But
I know. Well,
bless
switching over
her
to
heart.
Beverly Hills, we have PK and Mauricio who are just on Alex
Ugh.
Baskin's Hot Mic podcast. And PK, I guess they were asked, about their wives because they're going through their separation and living their relationships out on camera. And PK says that Dorit has she's become a completely different person since the show since she's joined the show. He said that her change is enormous, and he said the entire narrative and this entire reality of who we who did what, and she completely changed. And suddenly I'm watching my wife be someone that is a completely different person to the person that I met and married and fell in love with.
So I think that he's hilarious. I think that people are allowed to evolve in their lives, especially when they go through different things and they do different situations and they like become more relevant, or they have more power in their lives and all these different things. I think this really underscores for me, the my initial impression of that is that this is a bitter man that is angry that his woman that he chose is not as submissive or agreeable to his whim anymore, because she has encountered and grown more as a person herself into who she really, I believe, is and should be. and she's standing up for herself. And
Yeah.
I also think it underscores back. Remember when they had their therapy session last season? This is when I fully just was done with PK. The way he treated her about her trauma, about the robbery, where she still has all these issues and stuff like that. And he says, I think that some of it is just a put on situation or whatever. I don't remember exactly what he says, or that it's kind of over dramatized or something. And I'm like, that's sick for you to say that. I couldn't believe he even said that on camera. I was shook that he said that. Um, and I think Dorit was also shook that he
Yeah.
said that publicly. Like,
He said, oh, that he thinks he gets some parts of the PTSD, but other parts he said he found a bit obnoxious.
obnoxious. Exactly. I was like, exactly. That was the quote. And I was like, you said that on camera? I can't even believe you would ever say that privately, even, but you said that on camera. And I believe Dorit was absolutely shocked when he said that. And if, because I lost immediate respect, I got massive ick. And I can imagine she felt the exact same way. Like, I can't believe it. Like, he's not supportive. And
Yeah.
that's the person that's supposed to be the most supportive of you, even if they might think some of it's not right or whatever. They think they don't quite understand it. It's not their job to then go and then publicly try and make it out like you're like crazy, basically. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad she's getting out of that, because that's just really sad to me that she had to deal with that kind of a dynamic, especially behind, I can only imagine what it was like behind closed doors and how he was handling it if he was so willing to say that publicly. Um, that just to me makes it me feel like that they were having a lot more issues and that those conversations were going on, and that she was enduring all of that, and that, yeah, he wasn't even there when it happened. Like, so it's one of those things like, ugh.
Yeah, he was literally in Europe while she was having to face that here. But also, like, to put into perspective, they got married in 2015, which is the
Mm-hmm.
same year she joined the show.
Yeah,
So their entire marriage has been on Real
on the
Housewives
show.
of Beverly Hills, because I believe she joined season 6, and season 6 aired in December of 2015. So they
Mm-hmm.
began taping at least a couple of months after they got married, which means
Mm-hmm.
for him to say that their marriage was very different at the beginning compared to now is a bit, because of the show, is a bit of a stretch considering their entire marriage. So we've essentially watched
Seen it
their
all.
marriage the entire time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also, like, that's a 10, we're going into what, 2015? So we're now, so it's a near decade, period that she's been on the show at this point. So people
And she
change.
has changed. She has
People change.
changed. That's true. Yeah. And she has changed. I agree with you. Like, it's been a decade. We've seen it all go on. But
Yeah.
like, that's also part of life. People do evolve. People continue. I'm not the same person I was like 5, 10 years ago. Like, everyone evolves. Like, they have their, like, life happens, and a lot of life happened to them. And I think it was just really callous for him to like not accept that she could have changed, and then also try to find the beauty in who she really is now. And I think that was also on him not being willing, because I'm very on Dorit's side when it comes to all of this, so I might be biased, but like, I don't know if some of the people commenting might have an idea. Maybe they're on PK's side, so maybe they might just be able to share a different perspective. I have no idea, but I just think that was just poorly handled. And also the whole thing where he's like texting Kyle now, and yet
Oh,
the PK convinced her to do the show. Yes, so that's a good point.
well, I've always said that I think she stopped seeing him as the end all be all. Yes, so this is what Jen said is what I think happened. I think she was submissive and she was, the arm candy. Very similar
Yep.
to Erica and
The
Tom.
Barbie, yeah.
This
Yep.
happens on Housewives all the time. They come
Yes.
into these shows, they're very submissive. They're the good wife. They are to be
Yep.
seen and not heard. And, the husband likes it because they get to flash around their hot, pretty wife. But then they come on these shows, they gain some fame, they gain, this
Yeah.
Bravo celebrity status, and they start earning their own money. And then they realize, oh, I don't need to live in my husband's shadow because I can stand tall
Exactly.
all on my own.
And she gets more confident, and she's willing to express her opinion more directly. And to him, which to me just underscores also how freaking backward he is when it's like, oh, she's not the same person I married. Okay, so you want your submissive little arm candy wife that isn't gonna like, what's it called, push back on you when she disagrees with you. That's what you want. And that's not a relationship. That's kind of a dictatorship that you're then just kind of like making her do your whole like expressing your whim on her, and then she's just supposed to fully capitulate and accept it no matter what. And like I said, like when you're right, 100%, it happens all the time on Housewives, where they get money, they get fame, they get power off of the show, and they find confidence in that, and that in turn turns into this thing where the man no longer likes them because they need some submissive creature that they can control. And that just to me is an indictment on the man. So
I agree, and I also think that, because PK went on in that same interview to talk about how, Dorit said that she stood by him during the bankruptcy and during the DUI and during all that she stood by him through all these things, and he's like, "Well, that's not
yes.
necessarily true because all of those things happened before she ever met me." It's like, yeah, those things may have happened before you met her, but it played out publicly and it became
And she had
headlines
to deal
and it
with it.
was successful on the
Yep.
show, and
Yep.
despite all of that, she still stood by you as they became public scandals versus private scandals when they initially
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Yep, because it ended up affecting her reputation in the end too, because it was a whole thing. And I remember when that was all going on.
Like their assets were collectively frozen because of the lawsuit
Yes,
she was facing. Like, so she
exactly.
did go through some of it.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%. Yep. Yeah,
So
so I have no real respect for PK in that regard. I think that's just so embarrassing for him. And it's just an indictment on his character.
yeah, Steve says happens all the time in real life too with men in power
Yep.
positions who want trophy wives. Listen, if you want a trophy wife, don't let her join Real Housewives because
Amen.
she's gonna find some empowerment and she's gonna leave. Well,
Yep, she's
actually,
gonna get
interesting.
more power and you're gonna feel emasculated, and that's on you.
Well, interestingly, Mauricio answered the same question. He says he doesn't feel like Kyle's changed at all. He said Kyle's the exact same person she was before they had money, before they were on the show. Like she's remained consistently herself.
Oh, I agree. I think she's been very consistent the entire show. And Loki haven't really liked her ever on the show because she's kind of always been this annoying kind of person that likes to pretend she's not a bully and not a like crazy person to everyone around her and her family and stuff like that. And then she likes to play she plays victim all the time. And that's one thing. Like she's obviously, in my opinion, indispensable to Beverly Hills. She kind of is Beverly Hills in a lot of ways, but I'm not necessarily her biggest fan, and I do think that a lot of this is, especially this season, Dorit's really handling it,
Yeah.
in my
No,
opinion.
she is. I'm looking forward to the new episode where the two of them go at it. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the difference with Kyle, you have to remember, Dorit's from Connecticut, and she was
Mm-hmm.
exposed to this culture life, or this life of culture rather, when she met PK. And that's when he
Yeah.
exposed her to a lot of different stuff, or when she started getting into
Well,
fashion
she
design.
was working before in Europe, and she talked about how she was in Milan and she was doing a bunch of things for fashion designers and doing a bunch of like merchandising things. So I think that she was already exposed to a lot of things, but I think the elevated level of things where PK was much wealthier and he was able to give her that kind of an exposure is I think what you're talking about, because I do think she was exposed to cultural things and she was very interested in that kind of stuff. Her family is Israeli and she's an American, so she already has this multicultural experience just from existing and growing up. Um, but I do agree with you that PK did elevate her, and then the show elevated her even more.
Yeah. Whereas I think the difference with Kyle is Kyle grew up in Beverly Hills. Her
Yeah.
mom was very much, gold digger. Let me jump from one wealthy
Mover,
husband to the
shaker,
next.
yeah.
She grew up in
Hmm.
this world that I don't think needed to be, I don't think it changed her in any way because
Exactly.
she was just kind of always around it.
Yeah, she's exactly. She's always kind of been that person, and I agree with you 100%. That she's been very much the same, and I agree with Mauricio that she's been very much the same. Which makes me then ask Mauricio, what the hell is wrong with you? What did she do to you then? Why are you being a clown? What changed about you? Like, what's going on? That's my thing. Because then I'm like, what is this? Like,
I
are
think
you
we're both
bored?
going
Like,
through. Well, I think the difference is he didn't come from that world, and he built the agency, and I think that's where he really started to see his level of success. And then, he was able to build the agency into what it's become now, which, has
no,
in
and
it.
good for him. I've been very impressed with his rise and all those different things because it's actually incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
And he deserves a lot of credit for that, and he's done a great job. And he's been able to give his children jobs, even Farah, his stepchild, all those kind of things, and now they're doing really well in life. And it's just, I do think he does deserve to be commended for that. He is very about the family, but then he then switches this whole thing, and it almost feels like he's like completely now on his own little tangent. And I'm just thinking, like, what happened to you? And it almost turns into this thing where, is this one of those cliche moments where like the guy just wants to reinvent himself and pretend to be younger now because he's like, oh, I'm going through a
Yeah.
midlife crisis, and I just like
I
feel
think
like
that's
this is just
I think they're
crazy.
both he's going through his midlife crisis and he now he has money, right? And he has,
Oh, he's very
wealth
wealthy.
that
Yeah.
he can do anything with. So he is now feeling this sense of power that he didn't have before, where he
Yeah,
can
he
do
can go party with Anita in a bar and get like do fucking body shots and stuff.
yeah.
Like, good for him. Never would have been the old Mauricio. Yeah.
Whereas Kyle, I don't think is going through a midlife crisis. I think she's
No.
going through an identity crisis of I
Yes.
don't know who I am anymore because I no longer have my husband and my kids are
My
grown, and that
kids.
identity that she
Exactly.
had as a wife and as a mom is not
Yes.
really there anymore. And even her
Yeah.
identity on the show, right? Because joining the show, a lot of her identity was tied to her sisters, mostly to Kim. And that
Yes.
dynamic of being on, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as a mom and we take care of Kim and like all of these things that her the role that she's had on the show has really shifted and evolved. And I just don't think she knows who she is anymore. And that's why
Yeah.
she's like, do I like to eat pussy now? Or do I want to be
Yeah.
with Kevin Wade? Like, she
Am
doesn't
I
know
on
who
this
she
whole thing? Which for a while I'm like, is this just some weird attention thing just to get back at Mauricio and be like, you're being a clown and I can do whatever I want now because like I don't even know what it is. And then I'm like, are you like actually like being a lesbian now? I don't even know. Or bisexual. I should just like give some love to the bisexuals out there. I don't know.
I know.
It's weird. So I don't know how that's gonna go, but it's one of those things that I'm wondering how longitudinally it's gonna play out, really. And I also wonder because I do think, and I do wonder, like, I want to think that she would take Mauricio back if he comes to have his little Jesus moment, like come to Jesus moment after his midlife crisis is over, because that happens a lot of times where the man will be like, okay, well now I've got that out of my system. Um, and I wonder, like, would she even take him back? Because I almost feel like I kind of think she would, but at the same time, I don't know. Does she have more self respect than that now? I have no idea.
I think if they were to get back together, it's not going to be anytime soon. And it's going to be after
No,
she leaves the show.
I agree with you 100% because I
They're
don't think they're
both
going to be
in
able
a
to
more
handle that.
settled place. He gets it
Yeah.
all out of his system. They want a more quiet life. And then they realize, we really do love each other. Let's make this work. Because the show just adds a level of exposure that
Yeah.
gets people to pick
Scrutiny.
everything apart. And
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's healthy for any relationship. And I think if they do
Especially
get
when
back
you're repairing. Yeah.
down the line,
Yeah, especially when it's about repairing everything and getting past issues and stuff like that. Like having it all in the public sphere and have everyone dissecting and putting an opinion on it skews your own opinion and can honestly end up making it really hard to either forgive, to even kind of parse through the issues effectively. And I agree with you. The only way I feel like they could ever get back together is if she leaves the show.
I agree.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
I think they probably will eventually end up back together. I don't think they'll be done for good because they've just always been able to still be a family. And
Yeah.
I think that's why one, they haven't filed for divorce, and two, when she gets asked in her confessional about, if she sees them getting back together at some point, she's like, I don't want to answer that because I don't think she wants to
Yeah,
face
because she doesn't want to say
reality
the
where
wrong
she's
thing.
she knows he has to
Hmm.
go on whatever journey he needs to go on where he's banging all these 30-year-olds, and then eventually
Yep.
he's going to realize like that's not a sustainable life, maybe in your
Nope.
20s, but not, at his age, and eventually he's going to settle down and be
Well,
ready
also, I
to
don't think, and if I remember correctly, they built everything together. And when he had nothing, that she will get half of everything. And so that's one of those things that I think he also calculates in the sense that, like, am I willing to give up half my empire that I've worked really hard for to Kyle because I've gone on this whim? And it is kind of shallow. So it's one of those things, am I willing to fork over all of that and lose all of that and have it also, because it's going to be public, everyone's going to know, and then it's going to be a whole situation. Not that he wouldn't still be a very rich man after the fact, because he has done a really good job making a huge fortune for himself, well, their family and stuff like that. But I do believe that's also part of it, where he hasn't also gone to file for divorce, because that's part of it too. There has to be, because there's no prenup, and she will get a lot. Yeah, it's cheaper to keep her. Yes, Jen, you're right.
keep her.
Mm-hmm.
He'll eventually, I think they'll, if they're not going to get married, like they'll figure out a way to end up together again.
Yeah,
Because
they'll have a situation. Yeah. I mean,
he
I
doesn't
want that
want.
because I actually always thought they were a lovely couple, and I thought that their story and all their relationship was like a wonderful example, especially in the public eye, that they were able to do so much stuff and like build so much stuff and stay strong the way they have, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, and last update, Nia and Danny from the Valley, they just announced in Us Weekly that they are expecting another baby. They're having their fourth
Hmm.
child. Everyone on the Valley is
Um,
having babies.
I mean, it's the valley. It's a family place. I mean, I would
I
have kids if I lived in the valley.
Like, why is everybody settling down in the Valley? And it's like, well, that's the premise of the show.
But I'm also just like wondering, like, is that all the show's gonna really be? Just like them popping out kids and doing that? Like, I mean, not that that's
No,
not
we have
like
Brittany
a
screwing
theme.
Jackson's friend.
No, I know, but it's just like, is that what? No, I'm talking about what they bring to the show. Is what I'm saying. Is like we're just gonna keep having kids, and that's gonna be the story.
The thing is,
Like, I
none
don't
of
know.
this is even on the show. Like Kristen's pregnancy and Danny and Nia's pregnancy, like those aren't even going to be part of the show because these happened
So
when they wrap
weird.
production. There's too much
Yeah.
time between when they wrap and when they release. We don't even have a release date for the new season.
True. True. Yeah, you're right. So none of this is actually getting like none of this is getting recorded. That's actually wild.
It's
I'm
just going
like,
to
I
be a
wasn't thinking about
footnote
that.
after the finale.
Huh. Well, that's a missed opportunity because then what's the content going to be? Because I'm also, no offense to the Valley, I do with that show. I do think that they're the content they have on that show, in my opinion, is sparse. They, I feel like, are fighting for like things happening, and I think the Jax Brittany situation was a big thing. But like, what else? Like, I'm trying to figure out like what else, like where's the meat? Like, where's the real meat? Like, I'm trying to figure that out. Like, still
Yeah,
with
like
that show,
season
I'm
one,
like
if you
tentative
really
about
think
it.
about it, like I do like Kristen Doty and she can carry her own, but like
Oh,
season
love
one,
her.
like the whole drama was about like did she or didn't she call Michelle a Republican? Like that was like what the
Right?
whole
It's like,
like what you really think about. You're like, really? Is that what we were fighting about all
is this
season
the
long?
fight? Yeah, it's like this is the
Michelle a
drama.
Republican?
I agree with you. That's what I was saying. I was like, I mean, I guess that's why I want to see more from them, and I also know that they're capable of more because I saw them give more on Vanderpump Rules. So it's like, come on, guys, like let's kick it into gear or what? Like, because that show with the first season, I was left wanting with more. I wanted to see more story. I wanted to see more drama, and I was kind of left a little disappointed, and I'll just leave it that way. Like that, it was that's what's hollow. That's the word I was looking for. Hollow. It feels hollow, and I want it to be more. And I know there could be more. It's just that the producers. It's on the producers, really. They need to kick it into high gear. They need to figure this out.
Well, now we have Sheena and Lala and Schwartz that are going to be appearing on the new season too.
Okay. I mean, I think I remember seeing something about that. So I mean, Sheena always brings a show. So let's be honest. She'll create something. That's what Sheena's real good at.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Like her or hate her.
she's I think the only one that films consistently throughout the season, whereas Lala filmed up until she gave birth, and then Schwartz I think just made a couple of cameos after Lala
Mm,
finished.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, Sheena, I think, is the one that, I mean, not that I've ever been like a massive fan of hers, like personally, but I will give her like credit where credit's due that she's really good TV and she does create drama and she does like thrive in the drama. I don't know if she would like that or not to be said about her, but I mean, like take what you can because I personally think that's where her brand is. I think that she's good at that.
yeah,
And
I
so,
agree. I mean, yeah, she's building herself as like this mommy influencer, and that'll give her some longevity for some time.
yeah.
But like being on the Valley and making that transition makes more sense than it did on Vanderpump Rules, where it was about them going because that Vanderpump Rules did reach the end. Like when they're all doing a
Oh,
fucking
they
water
peaked.
tasting,
Yeah.
like I don't want to see them tasting sparkling waters. Like that was the dumbest
No.
thing we could watch.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I know. That show fully peaked with what they were doing. I mean, they had so many great seasons and honestly one of the greatest reality shows ever to exist. But yeah, it
You care about the reboot?
definitely peaked.
Are you gonna watch the reboot?
I mean, I'll definitely. I always give everything a try. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give it a try. But
Did you like the RHONY reboot?
okay, controversially, yes, I do like it, and I'm not gonna lie. That's one of those things that I'm not one of those haters I do think I will say this. So I do think RHONY, the new RHONY, is kind of almost like a Housewives parody, where it's not actually like giving Real Housewives. It's like they're trying to like make a joke. Like they're playing a part. It's like that's kind of how I see it. So it's like I see it more like a parody of Housewives. Not that I don't like enjoy it. Have you
I
watched
mean,
Sold
in
on
that
SLC
context,
yet, or is that
uh,
what it's called? The Sold on SLC.
what?
Have you watched that new one, the real estate one from Salt Lake?
No, is that good?
It's good, yeah. I
The
actually
ratings
was
are
really
terrible.
shocked. I really like it. You should dig into that one. It's good.
Maybe I'll check it out. I know the ratings aren't there, so they could use a little
Well, it's
more.
brand new. It's brand new, and they're using Salt Lake, yeah, Housewives of Salt Lake to kind of feed into it because I think they air it like right after Housewives of Salt Lake, every week. So they're working it, but I think it's got good potential. I think personally, I've been entertained personally.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, you know how everyone in
Okay,
Salt Lake is. They've got that mountain air. They're all going crazy.
yeah, we need some new shows on Bravo because I feel like now with Vanderpump ending, Housewives I think is reaching the end of its road. Like we're that's why like Dubai's didn't work and
Yeah.
Roni didn't work because it's like people
Even
don't
though
want
I
to
loved Dubai, I was like so sad that that didn't work out. I honestly, that one was depressing for me. And I don't
be
this
that.
I'm one of those people that I've really never met a Housewives show that I didn't like. Even though people get all up in arms about like this one, that one, I hate like the new Roni or whatever, and I'm like, honestly, I just love it. I don't know why. It just for me, it's just such just feel good for me. I don't know. Like I've always loved all of it.
Well, I'm glad you have bad taste in television.
It's
Uh,
amazing, right? Trash brain.
you know what I want more of? I want more of like the House of Villains shows because I that takes me back
I
to the
haven't
old
watched
school.
that yet. See, I
Okay,
actually have not watched House of Villains.
it's a throwback to the old school reality TV days of like
Mm,
VH1, Flavor of Love, I Love Money, where they have like these
mhm.
mashup shows with all these different like and it's a competition show. And if you watch it in that fun, campy way, it's
Is it
actually
kind of like Traders? Because I really like Traders.
oh, Traders. I love Traders.
Love. So yeah, is it kind of like that? Because I've been curious, especially when Teresa Giudice went on House of Villains. That's been like the first time that I was like, maybe because I love her. Like
Teresa
I
was good on it. I wouldn't compare it to Traders because Traders is just so well produced, but
yeah.
but this one's a little corny and it's
So it's
definitely
like a
very
low rent Traders energy kind of thing, but like
what
in a good way. I don't mean that in a shitty way. Like I don't mean that in a bad way.
it's like it's not like Traders I just feel like is so polished and well done and like you're
hmm
invested. Whereas this one you're kind of just watching them to be silly and dumb and play into their characters.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I do need to give it a try, especially because like the content has been coming. It's kind of sparse now, so I've been looking for new shows. So I do think that's why I started the real estate one from Salt Lake, where I was actually pleasantly surprised. I've been trying to convince my husband to watch it with me, but he's like, "Nah, I don't want to." But I'm like, "No, you have to. It's really good. It's really good." But yeah, no, you need to watch that one. And if you ever have me on again, I'll talk about it with you because the drop like I don't know what it is about Salt Lake, but whoever told them to go to Salt Lake for some of these things, genius, whoever decided Salt Lake was the place. Like I don't know if like
Salt
because I
Lake
was
is
wondering, I
hell
made a
is
joke to my husband about the fact because in Germany, in Munich, they have this whole thing where they have this like electromagnetic something off of the mountains that makes people get headaches and stuff like that. And I was like, I wonder if they have something similar in Salt Lake City where it just makes everyone go crazy. Like, and
well,
I was just like, because they're all like crazy, and I just in the best way.
they are. Did you see that Jen Shah is pen pals with Renee Graziano from Mob Wives?
No, I had no idea. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a
Jen
story.
Shah, dude,
It's
she's an
a great place on
icon, even
it.
though
I
she's
didn't
a
expect that, but I was like, well, I can kind of see it.
Oh my god, I don't know. Do you think Jen Shah's gonna be able to come back?
I mean, listen, her prison date keeps her release date keeps getting moved up. Now she's being
I
released in
know,
2027.
I know. That's what I was
So,
thinking
I
too.
mean,
I was
it's
like,
within the realm of I mean, I think at that point, Housewives may be in such a stale place that they would bring her back to kind of revive.
Salt Lake
You
isn't stale though for me. I think Salt Lake is the only one that's really
know, I don't.
push.
I mean, I don't mean the shows are stale now, but I feel like it's
Oh, you mean
reaching
the whole
a place where
franchise
they're
as a
losing
whole?
the audience.
Yeah, yeah, the franchise as a whole. I
They're
think I
becoming
understand what you're
consumed with
saying.
Housewives.
I agree. No, I agree because I think
Yes,
it's been
all
going
in
on for so long that the core viewership, either a lot of people are maybe moving on from it, or I don't know. I think that's part of why, especially with the ratings and how people the viewership numbers, because I am really surprised sometimes about like the low numbers of viewers, and I was like, I thought we were all in this, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, I know that
Um,
like, a lot of the numbers have transitioned over to streaming. Um,
well, I watch it streaming. I'm one of those people that watches it only on streaming. I watch it on Peacock.
yeah, which is now I think where the audience is it's more on Peacock than it is watching live on Bravo.
Yeah.
So
I mean, who has time to sit there at, at whatever the specific time that it airs? Like, my
yeah,
life
no,
is not
I
like
don't. Yeah, I don't work, and then they're on at like 9. I go to bed at 9. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm going to bed. Exactly. I'm
full episode of
tired.
Housewives.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's actually a good point. But I do think Salt Lake is doing really well this season. And I am really happy with their drama specifically. Potomac is a joke to me. They used to be so good. Like, what happened? Like, what is it? Like, is it a producer thing? Is it like like, I don't understand, like, what's going on with Potomac specifically. That one just, like, is so disappointing because they used to be, like,
They were
awesome.
top tier. I think they really lost it when they lost Monique. I think that's when it first
Yes,
started
Monique was
to go down.
everything to me. Yes, I agree with you. Monique was a massive, and then I do think that another massive loss was when they lost Candace
Yeah.
last season. Um, so yeah, I mean that's part of it. Those people those two were stars. Like they were really really. I
And
wasn't a
they
fan of Candace. I thought she was very annoying, but in a sense also that she was very necessary for the show.
yeah.
I thought.
And I think but I
Um,
also think they were like the Batman and Robin. Like they needed each other to really shine because after Monique left,
mhm.
Candace had a hard time shining without her. Um,
Yes, I
but
agree.
I their friendship and their frenemy moments and their when they hated each other, like just that whole arc was
Oh, it
just
fed the
so
show. Yes. Oh,
yeah.
it was so
I
good.
think I don't know what the show is going to be. I mean, because it's also just like this whole season with Karen, and she's like, I'm innocent, and like I don't know. They really have
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then all of it is just Mia being a mess the whole time because it's just like, oh my God, I can only take it so more times where you talk about being like having three dads for your kids. And it's just, girl, you're a mess. Like, what are you? And then like all the new girls that they brought on, like Kiarna, what that one, I almost have a hard time saying her name. Like, she shouldn't even be a full time. I can't believe they gave her a full time slot. I was so confused why they gave her a full time slot. Like, sure,
And they're
keep her as a
really
friend,
pushing
maybe, but
Zack.
she's
I'm
so
like, I haven't
boring.
really watched Potomac this season, but I'm like,
You don't? Okay, yeah, it's honestly like very weird. Like, and the new girl Stacy, I want to like her, but it's hard. I think she's stressful too, where it's just like I don't know. People are trying to like like prop her up as like she's the one, and I'm like, is she though? Like I don't know. Like on social media, people talk about her a lot, and I'm just like,
I think
uh,
people's palates have really kind of it's like when you go in the late at night, you want a snack, and you go in the refrigerator, and there's nothing good, and then like you go back 5 more times until you lower your standards. I think we're at like
yeah,
time at the refrigerator, and
that's
we're
where
like,
we're
okay,
at.
our
Yeah, you're
standards
right.
are a lot lower.
That's where
We'll
we're
take
at.
it.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I agree. And I also think like Ashley on that show, she's boring now. Like there's nothing, she's not giving anything. Cause honestly, I hate to say it, she needed her drama with her ex-man. That was her entire existence on this show, and now
Bring
it's kind
back
of
Michael
over.
Darby and put him back on Grinder.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and have her be an apologist for another season. Yes, exactly. It's like one of those things. It's just like that was what was her thing, and I just like now I'm just so bored with her too. It's like I that Potomac had so much potential back, and then I think the producers just fumbled it. I don't know. Makes
Yeah,
me kind of
it
sad.
really went
But
downhill.
the only ones
That
I'm obsessed with
season
right now,
I
Orange County was good. Beverly Hills is still cooking for me. Salt Lake is like they're doing a great job. I think they're carrying the franchise as a whole. Um, but the rest, it's sad.
I'm worried about Atlanta.
They're making a Housewives of London. Did you see?
Yeah, but that's not a US version. That's
Yeah,
for
I'm still
high
gonna
U.
watch it though. I'm still gonna watch it. Did you watch the other ones? Have you watched Cheshire?
I haven't watched Cheshire or
Oh
Melbourne.
my God, Zach, come on! That is actually one of the greatest. I mean this. Like it is
I
actually
heard they're good. I haven't
so
they don't air
good.
here in the
Dawn
US.
Ward, Dawn Ward is a queen. I literally am obsessed with her. She had a cameo on what's it called? You didn't know. Most people didn't really realize, but she was on Dubai. Like she was friends with Stanberry,
Well,
and she was at her house at a party last season. Oh my
well,
God, I saw Dawn Ward. I got so excited.
What do you watch?
She was like the main character on Housewives of Cheshire. Like I during COVID, my husband and I binged that, and it. I'm telling you, have you watched the Australian ones too?
No.
Housewives of Melbourne, so good. Housewives of Sydney, they only had like 1 or 2 seasons. Insane. I have never like they make the Housewives of America look very polite and chill. Like they don't actually have real drama in America. And like the way that they will drag each other in these other countries, I'm especially Australia, dude. They are feral. I mean that so seriously. And it is like OG old school Housewives to the in the best way. You almost need to like go check that out if you're in for some serotonin. It's so good, dude. It's good.
Okay. Well,
Plugging
since
that in, guys. Check it
yeah,
out if you haven't watched those ones. The Foreign Housewives. They're good. They are very good. I haven't watched the South African one though. They have like a couple. I think there's a South Africa one. I never watched that one, so I can't give an opinion about those ones. But
yeah, I
Cheshire, Melbourne, and
are
Sydney
you gonna watch
are.
London?
Am I gonna what?
Are you gonna watch London?
Yeah, my husband used to live there, so he's actually super excited about that one. And also the British girls, they're fucking crazy. Like if it's anything like Cheshire, it's gonna be so good. Like it's gonna be so good.
I wonder if it. I mean, they had Ladies of London, so I wonder if it's just gonna. Did you
I
watch
wonder
Ladies?
if they're gonna recycle a couple of those girls, and I wonder this is something I also have a sneaking suspicion for because Dubai got canceled. I wonder if Stanberry is gonna go hop over there
That
because
would
she's
be that
awesome.
would be
Love
her
her.
best move because Dubai's not
Would
coming
be
back.
amazing. Exactly. I agree with you. I think she should go back and go. Well, she can always keep her house in Dubai and stuff, but she should definitely like do halftime Dubai, halftime London, so she can be on the London show. Because I loved Stanberry. She was great. She was
Yeah,
great.
I do like
And we don't
Stanberry.
get Chanel Ayan anymore, which is just such a disappointment to me because I love Chanel Ayan. She was great to me. I loved her. Do you have an opinion about Chanel?
What?
Do you have an opinion about Chanel?
I don't watch Dubai at all. I watch like one or two episodes and
No,
then I just
Zach.
I-
Oh well, like
she's
I
gonna
said,
be
I
on
watched
Traders
all of
though.
them. She is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. Good, good,
Chanel,
good. She deserves it.
Dolores, Dorinda,
I remember Dorinda got called for it. I remember that. Yeah, that's gonna be hilarious.
Chanel,
I'm not gonna
Dolores, and
lie.
Dorinda, I think are the three housewives. And then they also have Sierra and Tom Sandoval.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's gonna be a good house. That's gonna be really good, actually, I think.
I'm hoping it's good. Season 2 was just such a high.
It
Season
was
1
so
was good.
good.
Season 2 is better. That like I don't know how much faith I have that season 3 will continue to build the momentum, but we'll see.
I'm praying for it because I really enjoyed that show and I hope that they keep it good. Did you watch the British one, the British version of Shaders before they aired
No,
the American one? Because they have a British one and that was pretty good too. I just didn't know any of the
that's where
celebrities
it
that they
started,
had on
right?
it. What?
Isn't that where it started? Was the British version?
Yeah, it's a British thing, and they had a. I watched the British one first, and I thought it was really good, even though I didn't actually know. Like, I think I only knew of like one of the celebrities that they had on there for the British one, but it was still a mess and hilarious. And so I thought it was good. Like, it was a good one, but the American one's better. The
Excited for
American one's better.
everyone's excited for Bob the drag queen.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
Bob the drag, like I guess from RuPaul's Drag Race. And
Oh, I
so
never watched RuPaul. That's the thing. I
I've
never
never
watched
seen it
Drag
either,
Race.
but they're like propping Bob the Drag Race as like the face of the season. And I'm
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Well, I mean, if Bob brings it, I'm happy about it. I'm not against
But
it.
listen, if they, I know competition shows, and the thing is, when you prop up somebody to be the face of it, they're usually the one that doesn't last very long, and it's meant to deceive
Oh,
the
you're
audience into
right.
that they have like three good episodes at the start, and then they're gone.
Ah, that's what I'm afraid of with Teresa on the House of Villains thing because I know they didn't keep her for super long, and I remember being like, "Is that actually going to be like exciting?" Because I love
She
Teresa, and
makes
she's
it
why I
pretty
want to
far.
watch it. She does? Okay,
Yeah,
because
she
I
makes it
want to
pretty.
watch it specifically for Teresa Giudice.
No, she's great. I actually do. I mean, even though I have issues with Teresa, like on a personal moral level, as a
You
reality
do?
star, I definitely enjoy her. Um,
Um, I love
yeah.
her. I wish she was my mom. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding.
Good manners.
Oh, Stanford husband bought land in Bali. Well, they stole it from a tribe. To, ugh. I mean, Yeah. That was some tea. Trust and
Yes.
believe Bob the Drag Race will bring it. She won her season of Drag Race and she will win this season of Traders too. Yeah, speak on it. Okay. I'll take that to the bank. Yes, Dorinda versus Tom Sandoval. I want Dorinda versus everyone.
I don't
want
think Dorinda is going to be against Tom Sandoval. I think she's going to embrace him and take him under her wing. And I think Dorinda's actually going to like be a Tom Sandoval apologist.
Oh, really? Okay, I just was hoping for Dorinda to be a Dorinda versus everyone situation because that's where I think she thrives.
Make
Well, I
sure
just love when she's a
her
mess.
drinks are spiked and we bring out Slorinda and I'm good.
Oh yeah, give me Slorinda. Yes, I was almost hoping that was like, can we just like change the location of Traders and just have it at Bluestone this year? That was actually what I was Bluestone Manor. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. I was like, can we just put it at Bluestone Manor instead? That'd be just so good. That would be so good.
All right,
I love
Ty.
Dorinda so much.
Thank you
No, this
for
has been fun.
joining the show today. I know you always keep things spicy on Instagram and on Twitter. You're always getting people fired up over there. And
yeah.
I love it. I've been in that hot seat too many times before, and like when the internet is just kind of like chill, I love it.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you having me on. This has been really fun, and if you ever want me back on, I love talking.
Love all your Housewives hot takes. We'll have you back soon. But yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. People can follow you at Tough Talk Ty, right? That's your Instagram handle.
Yeah, Tough Talk Ty on Twitter, and I'm not the biggest on Instagram. I don't work that hard on there, but if you want me for real, it's on X.
That's on Instagram, and then that'll get.
I know. I just like haven't gotten around to it. I just always have that issue. I don't know. I gotta prioritize that.
On X all the time anyway, so you might as well just copy it on.
Yeah, right. If you like if you like thirst traps and controversial opinions, hit me on Twitter. You'll like it. Anyway,
how dare you?
Anyway, appreciate you, Zach. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been really fun. I love talking about Bravo. It's one of my favorite. I love yakking around, gossiping.
We'll have you back soon.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye. Oh, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to No Filter with Zach Peter. That's me. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you have a great Happy New Year. Well, I guess I'm going to talk to you on Monday. New Year's Eve is Tuesday. So I'll talk to you again on Monday. There you go. You're all set with a fresh week full of content. But I love you. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. There will be a members only tonight. What do you call it? My brain was all scattered. I was like, oh, it's Christmas. Oh, wait, Thursday? What? Somebody DM'd me and they're like, is there members only tonight? And I'm like, oh my God, it's Thursday. So yes, members only we will have today on Friday. So I'll talk to you soon. And yeah, I will Janelle. I will let you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Baddies. Let's hope that there's some good news that breaks over the weekend that we can talk about on Monday, but like not like breaking news where we need to do like an emergency episode. But give me a follow at Just Plain Zach all over the internet. Follow the podcast give me a follow at Just Plain Zach and follow the podcast at No Filter with Zach. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a nice Apple Podcast review. Hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Spotify, then definitely be sure to leave a comment. Maybe I'll give you a shout out next week. All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. I will talk to you next week. Ciao. Muddy Grace. I got your Christmas gift. Thank you. I love you, Muddy Grace. You're the best. Love you. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Ciao for now. Bye.